Z-Voices of the Youth's podcast, a podcast that amplifies.
House gases, they have to pay us for the damage that they've caused. Because developing countries, it's difficult for us. 1 year of a drought, 2 years of a drought. Look at what's happening. Milimiwe is now almost hitting 500. Watch out. You know what I mean? Hey!
I think so.
Para ukaleshe mu youth. Ukaleshe mu youth. Para sister ukaleshe mu youth. Ukaleshe mu youth. Panoni paseti tifuna voice ya mu youth. Ungangale ndiwekemba panoni paseti tifuna voice ya mu youth. Olowenza vibala panoni paseti tifuna voice ya mu youth. Nabonse bama business panoni paseti tifuna voice ya mu youth. Nayi mama office pushing my dreams.
What's up, what's good and what's bad? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Z-Voices of the Youths, the podcast that amplifies. If you're joining us for the first time, please make sure you subscribe to Just Amplify, and would like you to just give us a subscribe, and then so that you just don't miss out on any videos that we do post. Otherwise, if this is not your first time, we're also thankful you've made it even here, 2025. We hope your last year was last year even good? 2024.
I think it was. There's no year that's bad or good. I think if it's a bad year, then I guess it's a year of lessons. You always have to find something good out of the bad. Yeah.
But 2024 was different. Definitely different.
No, 2024 was different.
It was. Maybe you can find it just you.
No,
other people, it was just okay.
Trust me, I think I have my own fair share of stories. I think 2024 was quite a year of lessons.
True.
Yeah.
Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us. We have a very interesting topic at hand and a very interesting lady. Her name is Daliso Mvula, and I think she'll share more on what she does and anything that's there to share.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you for having me, for hosting me today. It feels so good to start the year on a great note like this. I mean, talking about something I'm passionate about. So firstly, like you earlier shared, my name is Daliso Mvula, and I am an environmentalist by profession. I do a lot of work around climate justice as well as women empowerment in governance, and a little bit of SRH here and there. And I like to call myself a philanthropist or a growing philanthropist.
Okay, what does that mean for some of us that don't know?
Just a person who does a lot of charity work, and because I do a lot of charity work usually at the end of the year, the beginning of the year, or in the middle of the year, or whenever I get the chance to.
Are you a model?
No, I'm not. No.
You know why I asked?
Why did you ask?
I don't know, maybe if it's just me that sees these things, but I think most models are into charity works. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
No.
That it's orphanage, they're doing a foundation, things like this.
I am definitely not a model, but I do agree with you. I think it's something that's usually good for their brands, and most of them are usually kind of interested in such things.
What up model what's interested in charity? It's like maybe it's part of the job description. Once you enter here, you have to do a bit of
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. What were we? Introductions, huh?
Yeah.
Are we done?
Yeah, I think that's just pretty much a summary about who I am.
I think I would like us to start from just a simple definition. Climate change, we don't even understand. So what's the simplest definition you can give?
I think the simplest definition I can give is December mnaona mpo kulikupya kwa sababu
October.
And I didn't know that because I'm gonna summer vibes this December in a million years.
People are still swimming.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, right? Exactly. So I think this just what we're seeing. There's the heat, lack of rainfall. This is what climate change is. I usually don't like to go in the technical aspect because it's easier to relate to what you see and what you understand, because most of the times previously when we talk about climate change, we would be more scientific about it, and people would take it as unfortunately. Exactly. So climate change is what's hitting us now. Climate change ni njala etiona ni unga wa meno wanaitona wadula ni manje mafuta ya manzi mafuta ya malite food. All those things are climate change. And just to give it a scientific context, it is a drastic change of weather patterns over a long period of time, and we've seen that this is what's happening.
You change my weather patterns.
When
was the last time you experienced some rains in your area? I think so.
But like when I was working from southern province, I experienced there was a bit of rainfall, but it's not as good. And you know, it's so heartbreaking when you see people's fields people have planted and wala mvula. Si pueda no pueda.
Very crazy.
It's bad.
It's very bad. Maybe machimo ya Pakistan. You know, I was on a bus, and then there was bamboo yao. No. You know, I think vintu vachinja maningi chanchani maybe na machimo ya Pakistan. Ruka tonani wana boda masikio vamuna chanchani like kapera mulungu akaripa.
Well, in that context I would say, well, God has given us, I'm a Christian by the way, and God has given us stewardship over the environment. He told us to say take care of the environment, but what are we doing? We're not taking care of it, and we'll have to reap what we sow. And this is what's happening. We're not taking care of it. We're cutting down trees, we're burning things, we're using fossil fuels, we're doing a lot of things, and these are the results. So it's just the environment gives back to you what you give it.
That's very true. And I think there are people that think, I don't know, maybe how do you see this? There are people that think this is maybe God's doing, and then there are those that just don't understand that there's something about the environment, something to do with the environment.
It's our own doing. God has given us free will, and He gives you a gift of nature, and what do? We choose to destroy it. So it's our fault. Our actions we're facing the consequences of our actions.
Yeah, very true. What's causing the change in the weather patterns, in the climate?
So, like I earlier mentioned, it's just human-induced activities. The way we cut down trees, the carbon emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions is depleting the ozone layer, which is supposed to protect us. But because the ozone layer is depleting, we see the raise of the global temperature, which is global warming, keeps increasing. Before, the temperature was supposed to be maintained under 1.5 degrees Celsius, but now it's reached, and it's going to increase. And from there, things could go from bad to worse, because according to World Health Organization, the estimation is that between 2030 and 2050, there will be 250,000 deaths per year due to climate-related events, malnutrition that's coming from hunger because of lack of food. And these diarrhea, a lot of things that are coming from climate-related events. Oh, exactly. You know what I mean, eh? So those are things that should really worry us. Things that should really worry us. And then when it comes to food insecurity, like bringing it back to what could happen because of these activities that we are doing. Previously, that was like in 2020, there was an estimation that $180 billion was spent on loss and damages, and this is as a result of climate change, be it from infrastructure, be it because of floods, droughts. $180 billion.
Where? Here in Zambia?
No, globally. So now that amount of money is being spent on fixing things when we could prevent certain things. And in other cases, estimations in 2018, there was an estimation that was made that about 2 billion people globally would experience food insecurity, either from moderate or to severe food insecurity. But that was just in 2018, and now we see. I can imagine what the numbers are now. if 2018 was saying 2 billion. And when you look into the future, just last year it was saying, statistics were showing us that about 169 million people are living below $2
Below $2
per day
That's
globally.
Manja watu mu Zambia. See,
It's
below one.
Exactly, you know what I mean. So
Wow.
those are some of the things that we really need to be cautious about. Like, we really need to keep in the back of our minds that things could go from bad to worse if we choose to not do anything about it.
That's very true. And I think this leads me to this question. So how does we understand what climate change is, the weather patterns and all these things that we're going to experience, but like, how does fixing climate problems affect people from like low income backgrounds?
So I think, how does it affect? I think the first thing here that we're supposed to understand is where are we and who is affected the most. And we all know that women, children, and persons with disabilities are affected the most by climate change. And we all know that it's the vulnerable people that are affected the most by climate change. When I say vulnerable, I'm looking at it in the context of people who have low income, because you can imagine, right? People that can afford right now always have power in their homes. They have solar panels. It's not really a big deal to them. Exactly. You know what I mean, eh? Yeah. So it's quite rough. So it's mostly the poor that are highly affected. And then we're talking about this in local context, like just amongst ourselves, mostly the poor are affected. And then now we're looking at this at national level. You see that, international level, you will see that the developing countries are affected the most, because go to places like America, they have strategies, they have food probably that can be sold in their country for 10 years and they will survive. But here, 1 year of a drought, 2 years of a drought, look at what's happening. Milimiwe is now almost hitting 500 kwacha. You know what I mean, eh? So
like everything is either doubled or tripled. But my egg hapa yali nianga at 9, but you get yali 21.
No.
Like eggs. There's 1 kwacha.
Yeah.
So 21 kwacha, now you're getting 9 eggs.
Are you
instead
serious?
Of 21 eggs. See that difference, yeah?
Yeah, there are those gaps. And then you can imagine, here at least we get to buy minimum and the likes, but then imagine where they farm their own food, kumaminsi.
Exactly.
Things are really rough. And as somebody who works at the grassroots level in the villages, still earlier asked, how do we work around this? We need to adapt to the current situation. And this is where we're required to invest a lot in adaptation. It's very expensive, and I will not lie, definitely is very expensive, but it's not impossible. But there are also more affordable means. For example, setting up of check dams at points, water sources, to help water flow slowly so that water can stay longer periods, especially for people that are staying in villages. And that also helps us. It also helps the whole water system at large. So setting up check dams and venturing into alternative sources of energy, like this issue of solar panels, biogas, all those things, venturing in such directions. And then also utilization of CDF, to be honest, could be a good deal, especially for young people, for women. If I could get CDF and focus on nature, what we call nature-based solutions. These are solutions that help you survive, but also help mitigate issues of climate change. But they're also helping you have an income, or they're helping you in your livelihood. So if we could leverage on things like CDF to invest in businesses that are centered around nature-based solutions, that would be good. Because the same way destroying the environment has been monetized, it's the same way we should also monetize adaptation. But caution goes out there, my caution to people out there is this: we have soft adaptation limits and hard adaptation limits. Soft adaptation limits are things that are currently not within our reach, but could be possibly used. For example, there are people that cannot afford solar, but if they had money, they could afford solar. And then there are hard adaptation limits that are there where no one in the world has a solution to the catastrophe that we're facing. For example, we cannot reverse the heat increase that has already been done. So the damage is already done. And we need to be careful that we do not exceed or press any further. Because, trust me, money will not be able to fix this heat.
Because the thing is, also, I don't know if it's about, maybe if that's a problem, I don't know. But like, seeing in the future, really, you know, like an example I'd give is this. You know what I mean? Like, we've experienced load shedding before. This is not the first time.
No.
But the first time it happened, like, didn't they see it coming again, or what happened there? Because I mean, having it for the second time again also raises questions.
I think this is where certain things come in. So Zambia was only drafting its first ever national adaptation plan last year in 2023, which made Zambia the 16th country in Africa to have a national adaptation plan. Now, if that was only being done last year, what does that mean? It means that we were not planning and preparing for this. And one thing that I think I would say to the government is we really need to improve the early warning systems. If this is predicted that say, okay, 2025 looks like we will not have any rain, people will prepare, people will preserve in advance, people will ensure that they stock up whatever they need to prepare for. Yeah. And on the other hand, I think it's just a lot of poor planning. And the other thing is Zambia has poor implementation when it comes to policies. We have very good policies. We have very good documents that could, if they were very adequately implemented, things would be different, trust me. You focus on 2025 because it's a campaign, yeah?
There'll be a lot of switch talking.
Exactly, this year,
maybe
there'll be a lot of I'm telling you. So like you just focus on the now and forget about the future. But then environmental protection and sustainability looks at protecting what we have currently, utilizing things that we have currently responsibly so that the future generation can also have part of it. But we don't see that happening. People just invest. People are just opening mines anyhow, you know, and yet the damage that is done because of those things. Yes, I know it's part of economic development. Yes, to give people jobs, but at the expense of what? The environment. We need to be more diverse. For example, when it comes to food, we need to be open. People just say selling once apart from Nishima. I understand it's our culture. That's why we stand on. But if we can eat rice also, eat millets, different types of exactly. It will just it's not only help. Exactly.
Again tomorrow Sima.
So yeah, now that they've seen these things, I'm pretty sure they will continue taking action towards them.
I hope there's someone that spearheading these things, because I think it's some of the conversations that we should start talking about now, even on a national level. You know what I mean? Like talking about the heat, the weather patterns changing. There's people that need to be sensitized now to start preparing for the future. Not sure if fika chat manja, but it's worse. We start seeing people collapsing anyhow. Like we didn't see it coming. You know? And when we're talking about fixing the climate change, so one of the causes is forestation, not so.
Yeah.
Cutting down trees. And you see that cutting down trees is charcoal. Okay. And low income families, communities, charcoal is their source of what? Of power, yeah? Exactly. So now,
not even low income communities, even high income households
even
are
medium,
using charcoal.
High.
I'm telling
Which
you.
ones are using high? Gas stove, you know.
Even high income households, they are using charcoal. The people just try to make it seem as though people in Zambia, one thing I've noticed about Zambia is most Zambians are scared of using gas stoves because there's this notion that they explode.
ati bangabomuke
So
vavazungu
so even these high income households,
they
so
do
small
use
as
charcoal.
they do use
Aye.
charcoal.
Kali mufuna che kupika because namo mzambia chete mtu ngaveza no it's too cheap, we can't use charcoal, you know what I mean, like
Pretty
such
bad.
things. But anyway, my question was cutting down trees, that's charcoal for people, you know, especially now that we're experiencing load shedding, you know, because malai tsiyankara kali ufaka pocheka kansima kali chempore jilevo ya pyamo malai, you know, so now people are shifting to charcoal. And then we're experiencing this weather difference, climate change. So how do we now match the two? How do we like navigate these two? Because at the end of the day we need charcoal, but again we know that we need afforestation, we need to put back the trees.
Yeah, so I think this one is just the basics. Like, it's important that we just plant more trees. It's important that we also just focus on trying to shift from the use of charcoal to other alternatives, cooking fuels.
But those are expensive. So as a gas stove.
I do understand that they're expensive, but is there a way that they can be subsidized? Those are the things that the government now needs to look at. Yeah. So now there's also those things.
Yeah.
And also I think we need to also take into consideration that the government's hand time can be tied because we have a lot of debt. So part of the money is going to debt servicing, part of the money is going to other parts of the budget, because I looked at the 2025 budget and the allocation towards environmental protection is very low. Towards the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment is very low. And these are the things that we need to think about. Like, we've seen that there's this problem, but why does the budget keep reducing? And I do understand and have it at the back of my mind that our country has a lot of debt that needs to be serviced. But we still need to find alternatives as to how we can finance our adaptation as a country.
Bring this to a lot of people. How do we sensitize, the climate change?
No, I think these things are now obvious. If you're not interested.
But how do we make people start doing the work? Because change starts with you, but we need more people.
These things are now obvious, and it's important to use the obvious examples. Don't go and tell people, hey, climate change is the melting of glaciers, shiny. No, tell them what they are going through. Climate change is you not having water. That's why you don't have electricity.
That's why
So if you don't take keen interest in planting trees, if you don't take keen interest in this, you will see worse than this. And trust me, the rich will continue to live life. You suffer.
That's
because the rich are sleeping in my air corner.
Oroshe mujida she. Hapa manje mabasi are very tight. Ero ati waspeza una ku back seat.
Imakala.
Tient kazienda mwankalisa hapa. Mwapya ngono. Manje tikaendesa drama kaiswaza kwera bana. Nebo tipangira drama tiendera basi yosazura. Like, it's crazy out there. You know what I mean? Like, the heat is doing us a lot of things, a lot of bad really. So, but like, is there anything that you can share, maybe tips, hints on how one can just adapt, for example, to the heat, load shedding, all these things? How have you been managing yourself since last year? Mwezi usova bwa mniko na power bank, tamtia maybe unakafani uzaenda at some point wakayasha.
I think, to be honest, the bigger thing here is addressing the real problem from the grassroots. Let's plant more trees. Let's preserve whatever it is that we have. Let's stop burning things anyhow. Let's protect the environment. Because I can tell you that, yes, you use a fan, you use a heat, I use what. But that won't matter if the problem is still happening, because things are just going to get worse. So it's important that we take keen interest in sorting out climate change issues.
Planting trees. Was planting a trees.
So now this is where the government needs to come in, to be honest. For example, areas like Forest 27. If there are places in areas of like Forest 27 where there are forests, so where I'm told Forest 26 was in Chalala. Now they built there. Those forests are where water They're recharge areas. So where the underground water that we use to drink and whatnot comes from those areas. So it's important that we go to those same places and plant more trees in those areas. And I think it's important. It would be nice if the government would put an area where just an area where anyone is eligible to go and plant a tree. Land should just be allocated for trees to be planted there.
No, as long as they provide transport.
No, it should be a responsibility as a citizen.
For example, Ngombe atienda kweja 27 ukashangi.
It's not very fun. Forest 27 is Kingsland. Oh, why should they go?
With the heat.
Why should they go on foot? This is I think the problem that I have with us people. We always want to rely on government for everything. No, but we have a role to play as people when it comes to this issue of climate change adaptation, because government is just not even half of Zambia. No,
everything,
there's nothing like that, and that's the laziness that we have as Zambians. Yes, we need to hold our government accountable, but what are you doing at individual level to make this situation better? You think the government will sort out all the problems? No, they cannot. They have a responsibility to do things to a certain degree, but the rest is up to you as an individual. Because imagine if each and every Zambian planted one tree. How many trees would we have?
How many of us? Maybe billion something.
Exactly. So
billion trees.
Yeah. So those are things that we need to put into consideration. Like, it's not always the government that's supposed to do certain things. There are small things like recycling. There are small things like planting a tree within your own yard that make a difference. Yeah, all those things help.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's very true.
The people that are producing a lot are from the global north. They're producing a lot of carbon or greenhouse gases. They have to pay us for the damage that they've caused. Because developing countries, it's difficult for us developing countries to focus on developing as well as mitigating and adapting to climate change.
Imagine all those
all those things need to be done. Exactly. But even whilst we are at it as developing countries, especially as Africa, it would be good to unite and come up with our own backup strategies on how we can adapt to climate change and finance this adaptation. Yeah.
What ministry is that looks at weather, sunshine, climate?
Ministry of Green Economy and Environment.
Exactly. I think you should participate. Maybe doing a vote. Who
knows?
2025.
Who knows in the future?
You should stand. We'll definitely vote. Yeah. But anyway, still on conclusion. Anything else?
It's in mind that this is our responsibility. Everyone must participate. It doesn't matter whether you're young, you're old. Everyone must participate in ensuring that we adapt to climate change and mitigate climate change, as well as protecting our environment. And it should be something everyone should be interested in, not just gossip on Zambian social media blogs.
What's the latest gossip you saw?
I don't do gossip.
I mean, like, you just see, like, oh, okay, this is what's going on.
No, trust me, like, I don't do gossip.
So
anything that will pop up on my timeline that is not productive, I will scroll past it. Fast. I don't do gossip.
You're sure?
My algorithm is set like that. I don't do Zambian gossip.
So what is gossip, for example?
Like, there's a lot of Zambian gossip that goes around, and you hear people talk about it. So exactly, things like that. Like,
any rumors you've heard?
I have no idea. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't even want to speak on it. So those are certain things. Like, you choose what you want to. Yeah, you choose what you want your algorithm to have. So your algorithm shows who you are. If the only thing, I know it's such a joke. If the only thing, no, I know. Like, sometimes pages sponsor, and it will definitely come up on your timeline. But if your timeline is consistently having
those things,
gossip, blogs, gossip, Zambia, gossip, then there's something about
this. But I mean, Zambia is like, it's a gossip community now, especially social media now, it's been used as that.
And I wish we could be more productive. Like honestly, I wish we could be more productive. Not even a bit. We need that productivity. We need that productivity. We need those.
But again, Futi, I think it's also people don't support Panga sense.
No, they don't.
Because gossip. Hey,
I mean,
views, comments.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that a lot of people didn't know Dora, like the lady that died. She was helping 500. She had a school which was an orphanage as well, and was helping 500 children in a village. And people didn't know about her in Zambia here, and people didn't know about her. And to my shock, like, okay, I understand. And this is why I said your algorithm matters. But it's important that such stories are shared. But most of the relevant stories, or most of the stories of change or stories that have impact, are barely shared. But trust that if somebody was caught doing what?
Room 18.
It will be everywhere.
It will be everywhere.
It's unfortunate, and I think we need to change the culture. I understand that for some it's for clout, it's for the entertainment, but I think it's important that these spaces also create room. It's not an entitlement, don't get me wrong, but it's also important that spaces are created for relevant stories to be shared.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that are doing great work, so many organizations that are putting in the work to just Zambia channel as well. So it's important to recognize this. But at the end of the day, if you're part of these things, I think just don't stop. Keep doing what you do. There's a line that J Cash had mentioned, one of the songs. Said, target to see a movie TV in CNN.
Yeah. I like that one.
That's a good line.
I like that
so
one.
Every time I listen to the song, I'm like, this is what's up.
Yeah, truly.
Target to CNN, not movie TV. So we keep at it and we keep moving.
Yeah.
It's actually good to have conversations with such people.
Yeah.
So we look forward to having more conversations with them as well. Thank you very much for coming through. We do appreciate Z Voices of the Youths. It is what it is, and will always be what it will be. Let's make sure that you also comment. Tell us what you like about this episode. If there's any questions you have for our friend here, and if they want to get in touch with them, you allow that.
Yeah, sure. You can tag my Instagram handle and I'll be able to share. I always use my real name.
Good stuff. So there we have it, guys. Thank you for sticking around. This is 2025. Give us what you have. That's been yours, Tisro. We are out.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
What's trending? Life all over my love. Conversations irrelevant na mpamvu. We cement no angoze. Baimvera bafana bakulu na angoze.